We're always writing in this class, so what's next, you might ask? I know. By now, hopefully you've already read the next section of the major assignment sheet. Hopefully you've read it all. But let's talk about the next assignment that you're really going to be digging those fingers into. So let's talk about your next essay. It is the textual analysis essay. What you're going to do is look at how identity is constructed and ways you can see it out there in the culture, out there in the world. As always, check your classes-specific course documents for the dates and such, but basically you're going to find a subculture of some sort and analyze it. Well, what do we mean by subculture? Well, you're going to watch a video here shortly, but there is also a good excuse here to go to Wikipedia because they have a list of subcultures. Type in Wikipedia list of subcultures in your search engine and you're going to come up with a gargantuan list, and you can find tons of good stuff here. The assignment sheet does also say that it needs to be a resistant subculture, but what I mean by that is it just can't be something that's really mainstream. Look for something that's different than mainstream in some way. It can be bomb-throwing radical, but it doesn't have to be. Here's some examples of subcultures that I think would make great papers that I ran across when I was researching when putting together this assignment. You ever heard of cottagecore? Cottagecore is kind of fascinating to me, where it's people who adopt the aesthetic, the complete look and attitudes as if they were living at a cottage in the middle of the woods. It's quaint. I don't quite understand it. That's why I want to see more papers on it. Then there's VSCO girls who dress in colors that are reminiscent of the famous VSCO filter. Again, it's something I would love to see a lot more detail on. Going back to the assignment sheet, you'll pick a resistant use subculture and critically analyze representative primary text, one produced from within the subculture with an eye towards answering the question, how does this subculture see itself? You must pick a text that emanates from within the subculture and has direct contact with its members rather than coming from an outsider's perspective. So this is a textual analysis. Yes, it might be about the subculture, but it's specifically about something the subculture produces, a specific text. Now, if we were to look at, say, Harry Potter fans, Pottermore might come up as a possibility. But no, that doesn't really work because it comes directly from the author. It's hardly resistant subculture if it comes from the big authority. Same with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. That's a major corporation theme park, so that doesn't fit. These are both corporate productions. What I'm looking for is something that's produced from the subculture within. There was a movement amongst 70s punks, particularly amongst 70s punks women, which kind of combined feminism and punk rock into the Riot Grrrl movement, and they produced a zine, the Riot Grrrl zine. This would be a great subject of analysis. If you were into the aforementioned cottagecore, there are plenty of cottagecore aficionados who make stuff. I ran across The Cottagecore, a website specifically set to sell cottagecore-esque stuff to cottagecore fans. This would be another great example. And going back to those Harry Potters. Now, Harry Potter tends to be really tied towards the corporate structure from which it comes. Yeah, it comes from an author, but it's also an author who's made arrangements with major book publishers, major film studios, major corporations all around. And lots of people fall into just following those kinds of paths. I'm going to be a fan of the books. I'm going to be a fan of the movies or something. But then there's some that are a little bit different. The Stories Told YouTube channel did a role-playing game that was specifically designed to tweak Harry Potter because it was very heavy into non-binary and LGBTQ characters, specifically as a way to react against J.K. Rowling's anti-trans comments. This would be a perfect subject for a paper. but there are tons of them. Even within the world of Harry Potter fandom, you can find a ton of stories, of web presences, of video series, of whatever, that don't follow the straight Harry Potter line. Just like if you were going to any fandom, there are people who want to carve out their own spaces. And this is the kind of thing you should be focusing in on this paper. It'll be a fun one. It always is. So that's the textual analysis essay. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to run your ideas past me, go ahead and set me up via Remind. Send me a message. I'm always happy to help get your stuff straight before you start working on your papers, because it makes both of our lives easier if you're working on a good subject. And I think you're going to enjoy this one. If you find a good subject, this is going to be a fun one to write. Students tend to enjoy this. Ask me questions if you got them. Otherwise, see you in the next video.